The unfamiliar stop. Tyrell Collins was not your average 8-year-old. With big dreams of becoming an astronaut, he spent most of his time gazing at the stars and imagining the possibilities beyond Earth. He would often draw rockets and planets, showcasing his vivid imagination. But today, his reality was far from the adventures of space travel he often dreamed about. Instead, he found himself standing alone at an unfamiliar bus stop, feeling more like a lost traveler in a foreign land than an aspiring explorer. The afternoon sun had long set, leaving a blanket of twilight draped over the small town of Maplewood. Streetlights flickered on one by one, casting pools of yellow light that barely penetrated the creeping darkness. Tyrell clutched his backpack tightly, the fabric worn and faded from countless adventures at school. His heart raced in his small chest, echoing the anxiety that gripped him. He had always been told to stay strong, to face challenges head-on, but nothing prepared him for the feeling of being abandoned. "Why did the driver let me off here?" he whispered to himself, glancing down the street. The houses looked different, their paint peeling and windows cracked, contrasting sharply with the warm, welcoming feel of his neighborhood. The trees seemed to loom taller, their branches twisting and curling like gnarled fingers reaching for the darkening sky. The chill in the air nipped at his cheeks, and he shivered, pulling his thin jacket tighter around himself. "Is anyone there?" Tyrell called out, his voice barely above a whisper. His call was met only by the rustling of leaves, a soft reminder that he was alone. The echoes of laughter from children playing in the distance felt like a taunt, a reminder of the safety and warmth he had just moments ago. He took a step forward, eyes darting nervously, scanning the area for any sign of familiarity. His mind raced back to the bus ride. The driver had seemed off that day, an unsettling tension in the air. Tyrell remembered how his classmates had giggled and whispered as they bounced in their seats, but something about the driver's cold demeanor sent shivers down his spine. He had never felt uneasy on the bus before. Today, however, was different. It was as if the universe had conspired to turn a simple ride home into a nightmare. Tyrell remembered the bus coming to an abrupt stop. "Get off here, kid," the driver had barked, his voice sharp and demanding. Tyrell's instincts had kicked in. He quickly grabbed his bag and shuffled to the door. The world outside was unfamiliar, a stark contrast to his usual route. But the driver's commanding tone left no room for hesitation. He stepped off the bus, the doors slamming shut behind him with a resounding finality. Now, standing alone in the dark, Tyrell felt a wave of panic wash over him. He had no idea where he was, no idea how far he was from home. The street was empty, save for the distant sound of cars rushing by. With each passing second, the weight of his situation pressed down harder on him. He had been left behind, abandoned by the one person who was supposed to keep him safe. "Okay, think, Tyrell, think," he murmured, forcing himself to take deep breaths. His mother's words echoed in his mind. "You're strong. You can do anything you set your mind to." He closed his eyes, trying to summon the courage he knew was deep inside him. But fear clawed at him, whispering doubts that made him question his bravery. After a few moments of panic, he remembered the small flashlight his father had given him for emergencies. He rummaged through his backpack, his fingers brushing against the cool metal of the flashlight. Relief flooded through him as he found it nestled among his books. With a flick of the switch, a beam of light cut through the darkness, illuminating the ground in front of him. "Okay, I need to find someone," he said, more determined now. He turned and started walking down the street, the light from his flashlight flickering with every step. The beam danced across the pavement, revealing patches of grass and the occasional discarded soda can. Tyrell kept his focus ahead, scanning for any sign of life. He couldn't allow himself to feel hopeless. He was a brave boy, after all. As he walked, he replayed the bus driver's face in his mind. There was something in his eyes, a darkness that seemed to engulf him. It had been unsettling, a look that made Tyrell shiver even now. But the thought of the driver's cruelty spurred him on. He had to find help. He wouldn't let fear control him. Minutes felt like hours as he wandered down the deserted street. His surroundings felt increasingly strange, every shadow appearing to morph into a potential threat. But Tyrell was determined. He would find his way home. He recalled his mother's teachings about the importance of staying calm in difficult situations. "Panic won't help you," she would say, her voice steady and reassuring. "Focus on what you can control." Suddenly, he spotted a flicker of light in the distance. Hope surged within him. "Maybe someone can help me," he thought, quickening his pace. He followed the beam of light, his heart pounding in rhythm with his footsteps. The closer he got, the more he could make out a figure standing outside a small house, illuminated by the warm glow of a porch light. As he approached, he could see a woman sitting on the porch, her silhouette framed by the soft light. She looked up as he approached, her expression shifting from surprise to concern. "Hey there, sweetie, are you lost?" she asked, her voice gentle and soothing. Tyrell felt a rush of relief wash over him. I don't know where I am. I got left at the wrong stop," he stammered, his voice trembling as he spoke. "Come here, sweetheart. Let's get you inside and figure this out," the woman said, motioning for him to join her on the porch. Tyrell hesitated for a moment, uncertainty gnawing at him. But he knew he needed help. "Okay," he finally replied, stepping closer. The woman reached for his hand, her touch warm and comforting. As they walked into the house, Tyrell felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe he wouldn't have to face this terrifying situation alone after all. But deep down, he still felt the weight of fear clinging to him. He was determined to uncover the truth behind the driver's cruel intentions and find his way home. This was just the beginning of a journey he never anticipated, one that would test his courage and reveal the strength he never knew he had. As he sat on the couch, the comforting scent of freshly baked cookies wafting through the air, Tyrell took a deep breath and felt the first flicker of determination ignite within him. This was not just about getting home. It was about standing up for himself and facing the darkness that had left him stranded. And so, Tyrell's story began, a tale of bravery, resilience, and the unwavering spirit of a young boy determined to find his way through the storm. The warmth of strangers. Tyrell settled into the couch, the plush fabric enveloping him like a soft embrace. The woman, who introduced herself as Ms. Jenkins, had a kind smile that put him slightly at ease. She offered him a glass of warm milk and a plate of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. The sweet aroma filled the room, contrasting sharply with the fear and uncertainty he had just experienced. "Thank you," he said, taking a tentative bite of a cookie. The warmth melted in his mouth, and he could almost forget the world outside. Ms. Jenkins watched him closely, her eyes filled with concern. "I saw you standing at the bus stop. It's not safe for a little boy to be out here alone at night. What happened?" she asked gently, encouraging him to share his story. Tyrell hesitated, the lump in his throat making it difficult to speak. But he knew he needed to explain. "I was on the school bus, and the driver, he let me off at the wrong stop. I think he did it on purpose," he said, his voice trembling as he recounted the chilling moment. Ms. Jenkins listened intently, her brow furrowing with concern. "That's terrible, Tyrell. You're very brave for standing up and seeking help. I'm glad you found your way here," she said, her tone reassuring. Tyrell couldn't help but feel a sense of comfort in her presence. In that moment, the darkness that had wrapped around him began to loosen its grip. "Can you help me get home?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Of course, sweetie. But first, let's make sure you're safe and warm. We can call your parents after you finish your milk and cookies," Ms. Jenkins replied, moving to the kitchen to fetch her phone. As she dialed the number, Tyrell took another bite of the cookie, savoring the sweetness. But even as he enjoyed the treat, his mind was racing. What had driven the bus driver to leave him behind? Was it just a mistake, or was there something more sinister at play? The unease settled back into his stomach like a stone. He wanted to forget it all, but the memory of the driver's harsh voice haunted him. Ms. Jenkins returned, her expression serious as she handed him the phone. "I reached your mother. She's on her way, but it might take a few minutes. Do you want to talk to her?" Tyrell nodded, his heart pounding at the thought of hearing his mother's voice. He took the phone, his fingers trembling as he pressed it to his ear. "Mom," he called, his voice thick with emotion. "Tyrell, where are you? Are you okay?" His mother's voice crackled through the receiver, filled with panic and worry. "I'm fine, Mom. I'm with Ms. Jenkins. The bus driver left me at the wrong stop. But I'm safe now," he reassured her, trying to sound braver than he felt. "Oh, my sweet boy. I was so worried. I'll be there as fast as I can," she replied, relief flooding her voice. As he hung up the phone, Tyrell felt a wave of comfort wash over him. He was going to be okay. But even so, a shadow of doubt lingered in his mind. What if the driver came back? What if he targeted someone else? Ms. Jenkins seemed to sense his unease. "You know, Tyrell, sometimes the world can be a scary place, but there are good people who care and want to help. You're brave for reaching out, and I want you to know that you're safe here," she said, her tone warm and encouraging. Tyrell looked up at her, his big brown eyes reflecting the flickering light from the lamp on the side table. "But why would someone do something like that?" he asked, his voice a mixture of confusion and fear. "Why would the driver leave me there?" She paused, her expression thoughtful. "Sometimes people make choices that we can't understand. It's important to remember that not everyone is kind, but it doesn't mean you should lose faith in humanity. For every person who does something hurtful, there are many who are ready to help." Her words resonated with Tyrell, but the ache of betrayal lingered in his heart. The bus driver had been an adult, someone he was supposed to trust. How could he justify that kind of behavior? But before he could voice his thoughts, he heard the familiar sound of a car pulling up outside. His heart raced with anticipation and anxiety. "Tyrell." His mother's voice rang out as she rushed through the door, her face a mixture of relief and worry. She scooped him up into her arms, holding him tightly. "Oh, thank God you're okay." Tyrell felt the warmth of her embrace, the fear melting away in an instant. "Mom, I was scared," he confessed, the weight of the day crashing down on him. "The driver he left me. I thought I wouldn't see you again." His mother's eyes shimmered with tears as she held him close. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. You did the right thing by finding help. I'm so proud of you for being brave," she said, her voice thick with emotion. As Tyrell listened to his mother's soothing words, he felt a flicker of strength ignite within him. Maybe this experience, as terrifying as it was, could lead to something good. He thought of Ms. Jenkins, the kindness she had shown him, and the comfort of a stranger who had turned into a friend. "Can we do something about the driver?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. His mother nodded, determination etched on her face. "Absolutely. We'll make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else. You deserve to feel safe, Tyrell. We'll report him and make sure he faces the consequences of his actions." Tyrell felt a sense of resolve wash over him. For so long, he had been taught to stand up for what was right, and now it was time to put that lesson into action. He realized that he could be more than just a scared boy lost in the dark. He could be a voice for others who had been hurt or abandoned. As they sat together, Ms. Jenkins offered them both a comforting smile. "You're not alone, Tyrell. You have your mother, and you have me. We will stand together and make sure you're safe," she said, her words a balm to Tyrell's heart. His mother nodded, squeezing Tyrell's hand. "Together, we can make a difference. And you can always come to us if you feel scared or unsure. We'll always be here for you." In that moment, Tyrell felt a rush of gratitude for the warmth of human connection. It was as if the darkness that had shrouded him began to lift, revealing a brighter path ahead. He knew the road wouldn't be easy, but he felt empowered by the support of those around him. As the evening wore on, Tyrell found himself laughing and sharing stories with Ms. Jenkins and his mother. They talked about school, his dreams of space travel, and how he could be a part of the change he wished to see in the world. Ms. Jenkins shared her experiences of standing up for others, and Tyrell listened intently, inspired by her bravery. By the time his mother decided it was time to head home, the fear that had once consumed Tyrell had transformed into a flicker of hope. "I'm ready to face whatever comes next," he thought, a sense of purpose igniting in his chest. "Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. You really helped me tonight," Tyrell said, as they prepared to leave. "It was my pleasure, Tyrell. Remember, you're never alone, and you can always reach out for help. Stay strong and keep shining," she replied, her smile genuine and bright. As they stepped outside, the cool night air brushed against Tyrell's cheeks. The stars twinkled above him, and for the first time that evening, he felt a sense of belonging. They climbed into the car, and Tyrell glanced back at Ms. Jenkins, a promise of gratitude in his heart. "I will be brave," he whispered to himself as they drove away, determination lighting up his eyes. The night may have started with fear, but it was ending with the knowledge that courage, love, and kindness could overcome even the darkest of circumstances. Little did Tyrell know, this was just the beginning of his journey, a journey that would lead him to stand up not only for himself, but for others who felt lost and afraid. With each challenge he faced, he would discover the strength within himself and inspire others along the way. A call to action. The drive home felt different for Tyrell. The familiar streets of Maplewood, once comforting, now seemed to shimmer with a sense of purpose. He glanced out the window, watching the streetlights flicker by, each beam of light feeling like a promise that he would not let fear dictate his life. He could hardly wait to tell his friends at school about his experience, not to boast but to remind them of the importance of seeking help and speaking out. When they finally pulled into the driveway, the familiar sight of their little house wrapped in a warm glow brought a sense of comfort. Tyrell hopped out of the car, his heart still racing with a mix of adrenaline and determination. He was ready to take action, not just for himself, but for all the kids who might feel vulnerable in a world that sometimes felt dark. "Tyrell," his mother called, interrupting his thoughts. "We need to talk about what happened today, and what steps we're going to take moving forward." Inside, they settled around the kitchen table, a cozy nook adorned with a vase of flowers and a collection of family photographs. Tyrell's mother poured them both glasses of cold water, the droplets running down the sides of the glasses like the worries melting away. "First, I want to make sure you're okay," she said, her eyes searching his for any lingering signs of fear. "I'm okay, Mom. Really. But I want to make sure this doesn't happen again to anyone else," Tyrell replied, his voice steady. His mother smiled at his newfound resolve. "You're right. It's important to speak up. We need to report what happened to the school and the bus company." Tyrell nodded, a sense of pride swelling in his chest. "And maybe we can talk to my classmates about it. They need to know they can come to us if something like this happens." "That's an excellent idea," his mother encouraged. "We can create a plan to help educate them on safety and how to speak up. You're going to be a leader in this." The thought of being a leader excited Tyrell. He had always admired the school safety patrol, the older kids who wore bright vests and helped younger students cross the street. "Can I be like them? Can I help others feel safe?" he asked eagerly. "Absolutely, sweetheart. You can be anything you want to be," she replied, placing her hand on his. "But remember, leadership is not just about wearing a badge or having a title. It's about making a difference, listening to others, and standing up for what is right." With that, Tyrell felt a spark ignite within him. It was one thing to face his fears, but it was entirely another to help others overcome theirs. He could already envision what he wanted to do: a safety workshop at school, perhaps even a community initiative that involved parents and local leaders. "Let's get started on a plan," he said, determination lacing his words. Together, They mapped out ideas for an assembly where Tyrell could speak about his experience and share safety tips with his classmates. They brainstormed ways to involve teachers and parents, all while discussing how to report the bus driver's actions to the appropriate authorities. "I want to help make sure every kid knows they have a voice," Tyrell declared, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. "No one should ever feel scared or alone, especially not at a bus stop." His mother smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "You have such a big heart, Tyrell. It's inspiring to see you take this initiative." As they fleshed out their ideas, Tyrell felt a surge of energy course through him. He was no longer just a boy who had been left behind. He was becoming a beacon of hope for others. The vision of kids sitting in the auditorium, listening intently as he spoke about courage, connection, and safety, fueled his determination. The following day at school, Tyrell felt a mix of nerves and excitement as he prepared to share his story. His classmates had no idea what he had been through, and he hoped they would understand the importance of what he was trying to convey. He envisioned standing in front of the assembly, looking into the eyes of his friends, and knowing that he had their attention. As he entered the school, the familiar sounds of laughter and chatter filled the hallways, but Tyrell felt different today. He was ready to become the advocate he had always dreamed of being. He walked to his classroom, heart pounding with anticipation. When the bell rang, signaling the start of the assembly, Tyrell stood alongside his classmates, all of them buzzing with energy. Mr. Roberts, their principal, stepped up to the podium, addressing the students with a welcoming smile. "Today, we have a special presentation from one of our very own, Tyrell Collins. He has an important story to share with all of you." Tyrell took a deep breath as he stepped up to the microphone, the bright lights shining down on him. His hands trembled slightly, but he reminded himself of his mother's words. "Stay strong. You can do anything." He scanned the audience, seeing familiar faces looking back at him. Friends, teachers, and even some parents. "Hi, everyone," he started, his voice shaking slightly. "I'm Tyrell. I want to talk to you about something really important that happened to me recently." He paused for a moment, gathering his thoughts. The memory of that cold, dark street filled his mind, but he pushed it aside, focusing on the message he wanted to convey. "A few days ago, I was left at the wrong bus stop. It was really scary, and I felt alone. But I found help, and I want to share with you all how important it is to speak up and ask for help if you're ever in a situation that makes you uncomfortable or scared." As he spoke, he noticed how engaged his classmates were, their eyes wide with interest. He shared how he had reached out to Ms. Jenkins and how she had helped him feel safe again. He emphasized the importance of recognizing when something isn't right and the need to trust your instincts. "I know it can be hard to speak up, especially when you're afraid," he continued, his voice growing steadier. "But we have to remember that we are not alone. There are people who care and want to help us." He glanced around the room, locking eyes with a few friends who nodded in support. Encouraged, Tyrell spoke about the idea of creating a safety initiative within their school. "I want us all to be leaders and look out for one another. We can create a safety patrol, just like the older kids have, and make sure every student feels safe and supported." The audience erupted in applause, and Tyrell's heart soared. He felt empowered, as if he were finally stepping into the role he had always wanted. The support from his classmates filled him with hope, and he knew that together they could make a difference. After his presentation, students rushed up to him, excitement buzzing in the air. "Tyrell, that was amazing. Can I help with the safety patrol?" one classmate asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Yeah, let's do it together," another chimed in, clapping Tyrell on the back. As Tyrell stood amidst his friends, he felt a sense of belonging wash over him. This was more than just a response to a scary situation. It was a movement toward change. The idea of standing together, united in their commitment to each other's safety, filled him with determination. After the assembly, Tyrell and his mother met with Mr. Roberts to discuss the next steps. I think what Tyrell is suggesting is a wonderful idea, Mr. Roberts said, nodding thoughtfully. We can set up a committee to help organize this initiative. It's important for our students to feel empowered and safe. Thank you, Mr. Roberts, Tyrell exclaimed, his heart swelling with pride. I can help with the planning and get everyone involved. As they left the school, Tyrell's mother hugged him tightly. I'm so proud of you, Tyrell. You're making a difference not just for yourself, but for all your classmates too. Thanks, Mom. I feel like we can really do something big, Tyrell said, a bright smile spreading across his face. Remember, it all starts with one person who decides to take a stand. You are that person, and I know you're going to inspire others, she replied, her words resonating deep within him. That evening, as he lay in bed, the weight of the world no longer felt so heavy. Tyrell realized that while fear had once paralyzed him, it had transformed into a catalyst for change. He had faced darkness and come out stronger, not only for himself, but for others too. With dreams of safety patrols and workshops swirling in his mind, Tyrell drifted off to sleep, ready to embrace the journey ahead. The path before him was uncharted, but with each step, he knew he was destined to make a difference, one brave action at a time. The power of unity. The following days brought a whirlwind of excitement and activity for Tyrell and his classmates. The enthusiasm sparked by his assembly presentation spread like wildfire throughout the school, igniting a passion for safety that resonated deeply within the student body. Together, they began planning the first-ever Maplewood Elementary Safety Initiative, aiming to empower every child to feel safe and confident in their surroundings. As the days passed, Tyrell found himself at the center of this movement, working closely with Mr. Roberts, teachers, and a small group of dedicated classmates who shared his vision. They met every afternoon in the library, surrounded by books that seemed to whisper their own stories of courage and resilience. The students brainstormed ideas for activities, safety tips, and ways to engage the community. Okay, what if we start with a safety workshop for parents and students? Suggested Mia, one of Tyrell's closest friends. Her long curly hair bounced as she spoke, her eyes shining with determination. We could have a guest speaker come in to talk about safety on the bus and around the neighborhood. Great idea, Mia, Tyrell replied, jotting down notes. We should also create a safety pamphlet that we can hand out. It can include tips on what to do if you feel unsafe, like looking for trusted adults or calling someone for help. Let's also incorporate some fun activities, chimed in Jacob, a lively boy with an infectious grin. We could have games that teach safety rules, like a scavenger hunt or a safety trivia competition. The group buzzed with energy, each idea building on the last as they shaped their vision into a tangible plan. Tyrell felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. They weren't just talking about change. They were creating it. The next week, they held their first safety workshop in the school auditorium, where parents, teachers, and students gathered in anticipation. Tyrell stood at the front, flanked by his friends, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness as he looked out at the audience. Thank you all for coming, he began, his voice steady despite the flutter in his stomach. Today, we're here to talk about how we can all work together to keep each other safe. Safety isn't just about rules. It's about being there for one another. He introduced Mia, who spoke passionately about the importance of safety on the bus, sharing personal experiences and offering practical tips. Jacob followed, presenting the fun activities they had planned and engaging the audience with questions and games. Together, they made the topic of safety feel approachable and relevant, breaking down barriers and inviting everyone to participate. As Tyrell watched his friends shine, he felt a swell of pride. They were not only sharing information, but also fostering a sense of community. The auditorium buzzed with laughter and enthusiasm, and he could see parents nodding in agreement, their expressions reflecting a commitment to support the initiative. Let's remember, Tyrell said, stepping back to the microphone. Safety means looking out for each other, whether we're at school, on the bus, or at home. If you ever feel uncomfortable or scared, Don't hesitate to ask for help. There are people who care about you." As he spoke, he caught a glimpse of his mother in the audience, her eyes sparkling with pride. She gave him a thumbs up, and he felt a rush of confidence. This was his moment, a moment to inspire change and demonstrate the power of unity. After the workshop, Tyrell and his friends set up a table in the hallway, handing out pamphlets and inviting students to sign up for the safety patrol. The response was overwhelming. Kids lined up to join, excited to be a part of something bigger than themselves. "I want to help," exclaimed Sarah, a shy girl from Tyrell's class. "I never knew we could do this." "Of course, everyone can be a part of it," Tyrell replied, his heart swelling with joy. "We're all in this together." As the weeks went by, the Maplewood Elementary Safety Initiative continued to gain momentum. They organized monthly meetings, created fun safety challenges, and even started a safety buddy program, where students paired up to look out for each other on the bus and during recess. Tyrell found himself not just leading but learning from his peers, discovering their unique strengths and talents. One day, as they were preparing for their next big event, Tyrell received a phone call from Ms. Jenkins, the woman who had helped him the night he got lost. "Hi, Tyrell. I heard about your initiative, and I'm so proud of you," she said, her voice warm and encouraging. "Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. It's been amazing," he replied, excitement bubbling in his chest. "We're planning a community safety fair next month, and I'd love for you to be a guest speaker." "I'd be honored. You know, Tyrell, what you're doing is truly inspiring. You're showing others how important it is to take action and support one another," she said. As they talked, Tyrell felt a sense of purpose solidify within him. He had taken a frightening experience and turned it into a beacon of hope for others. He realized he wasn't just advocating for safety. He was building a community, a network of support where kids could thrive, free from fear. That evening, as Tyrell sat down for dinner with his family, he felt a new sense of joy. "Mom, the safety initiative is going really well. We're planning a community safety fair, and Ms. Jenkins is going to speak," he said, his words spilling out with enthusiasm. His mother smiled, pride shining in her eyes. "That's fantastic, Tyrell. You're making a real difference, and I can see how much this means to you." "Yeah, it feels good to know we're helping others. I want every kid to feel safe and know they can reach out for help if they need it," he replied, his voice filled with determination. After dinner, Tyrell worked on flyers for the safety fair, using bright colors and bold lettering to draw attention. He poured his heart into every detail, knowing that this event could make a significant impact on the community. As the day of the safety fair approached, excitement buzzed in the air. They set up booths filled with safety information, games, and resources for families. The fair also included activities like a safety obstacle course, where kids learned about traffic signals and pedestrian safety in a fun, engaging way. On the day of the event, the sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the schoolyard. Families gathered, laughter ringing through the air. Tyrell felt a sense of belonging as he mingled with friends, parents, and teachers, all united in a shared mission. "Welcome to the Maplewood Elementary Safety Fair," Tyrell announced, his voice booming over the crowd. "Today we're going to learn, have fun, and most importantly, support one another in keeping our community safe." As the day progressed, Tyrell watched in awe as kids laughed and played, eagerly participating in the activities designed to teach them valuable safety lessons. The atmosphere was alive with excitement, and he felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. "Tyrell, you did this," Maya said, beaming as she handed out flyers. "You brought everyone together." "It's all of us working together that makes it special," he replied, grinning from ear to ear. "We're a team." As the fair drew to a close, Tyrell stood on the makeshift stage, looking out at the crowd of smiling faces. "Thank you all for coming today. Remember, safety is a shared responsibility. Let's continue to look out for each other every day." The applause echoed in the air, and Tyrell felt a swell of joy in his chest. He knew that this was just the beginning of their journey. Together, they had created a ripple effect of kindness, courage, and community spirit that would extend far beyond the boundaries of their school. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over Maplewood, Tyrell knew that they had made a lasting impact. The experience had shown him the power of unity, the strength that lies in standing together for a common cause. With a heart full of hope, Tyrell understood that even in the face of fear, he could help change the world, one brave action at a time. The unforeseen challenge. As the sun rose the next morning, its warm rays filtered through Tyrell's window, gently nudging him awake. He stretched and sat up in bed, feeling a sense of purpose radiate from within. The safety fair had been a resounding success, and the momentum from the event continued to swell in his heart. However, as he glanced at the calendar on his wall, he felt a twinge of anxiety. In just a few days, Tyrell would be attending the district-wide safety conference, a gathering of students and representatives from different schools, all focused on promoting safety in their communities. He had been chosen to present their safety initiative to a larger audience, and the thought both thrilled and terrified him. What if he stumbled over his words? What if no one was interested in what he had to say? With these thoughts swirling in his mind, he decided to turn to the most reliable source of wisdom he knew, his mother. After breakfast, he approached her, his brow furrowed with concern. "Mom, can we talk?" Tyrell asked, his voice wavering slightly. "Of course, sweetheart. What's on your mind?" She replied, looking up from her coffee, her expression warm and inviting. "I'm nervous about the safety conference next week. What if I mess up or forget what I want to say?" Tyrell confessed, his hands fidgeting in his lap. His mother smiled gently, placing her hand on his. "Tyrell, everyone gets nervous before speaking in front of a crowd. It's completely normal. Just remember why you're doing this. You're sharing an important message that can help others feel safe." "I know, but what if they don't care?" he said, feeling vulnerable. "They will care because you care. Your passion is contagious. You have already inspired so many with your bravery, and this is your chance to reach even more people. Just speak from your heart," she encouraged, her voice filled with warmth. Tyrell took a deep breath, absorbing her words. "Thanks, Mom. I'll try to remember that." That evening, he sat down with a stack of paper and began drafting his speech. As he wrote, he envisioned himself standing in front of the audience, sharing his story and the journey that led to the safety initiative. He wanted them to feel the same sense of purpose that had ignited within him. When the day of the conference finally arrived, Tyrell felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety bubbling in his stomach. He arrived at the venue, a large community center buzzing with students and parents from all over the district. Banners adorned the walls, celebrating safety and community, and tables were set up with booths showcasing various initiatives. Tyrell took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment. As he made his way through the crowd, he spotted familiar faces from his school: Mia, Jacob, and several others who had helped with the safety initiative. They waved him over, their energy infectious. "Are you ready, Tyrell?" Maya asked, bouncing on her toes. "I think so. I just want to do a good job," he replied, trying to mask his nervousness. "Just remember what your mom said. You've got this," Jacob encouraged, giving him a friendly nudge. As they gathered in the main auditorium, Tyrell felt a sense of camaraderie with his friends. They took their seats, eagerly awaiting the start of the conference. A series of speakers took the stage, sharing their experiences and insights about safety, community engagement, and the importance of looking out for one another. Each story resonated with Tyrell, fueling his determination. Finally, it was Tyrell's turn. The moderator called his name, and he felt his heart race as he stood up, adjusting his shirt and smoothing down his hair. With each step toward the stage, he could feel 100 eyes on him, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Taking a deep breath, He stepped up to the microphone, his palms sweating against the cool metal. "Hi, everyone. My name is Tyrell Collins, and I'm here to talk about something really important. Safety in our schools and communities," he began, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. He glanced at the audience, seeing the faces of students, parents, and teachers who had come together for this cause. "A little while ago, I had an experience that changed how I view safety. I was left at the wrong bus stop after school, and it was one of the scariest moments of my life. I felt lost and alone." He shared his story, recounting how fear had initially overwhelmed him, but how he found courage through the support of Ms. Jenkins and his friends. He spoke passionately about the safety initiative, detailing their goals and activities. As he spoke, he saw nods of understanding from the audience, and it emboldened him to continue. "But it's not just about one person. It's about all of us coming together as a community," Tyrell emphasized. "We need to look out for each other and create an environment where everyone feels safe and supported. I believe that if we stand together, we can make a difference." The auditorium erupted in applause, and Tyrell felt a rush of exhilaration. He had poured his heart into this message, and it resonated with those around him. After his presentation, students and parents approached him, eager to learn more about the safety initiative. "That was incredible, Tyrell," a mother exclaimed, her eyes shining with pride. "How can we get involved?" Tyrell felt a surge of gratitude as he shared the details of their upcoming events and how they could contribute. "We'd love to have more volunteers to help with our safety workshops and community fairs. Together, we can make our neighborhoods safer for everyone." As the conference continued, Tyrell had the opportunity to listen to other students share their initiatives, each one unique and inspiring. He felt a sense of kinship with them, united in their desire to foster safe environments. After the conference, he exchanged contact information with several students, excited to collaborate and share ideas moving forward. As they wrapped up the event, Tyrell stood with his friends, discussing the day's success. "I can't believe how many people came to support us. It feels amazing to know we're all working toward the same goal," Maya said, her enthusiasm infectious. "I know. And now we have new friends from other schools who want to join us," Jacob added, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Just then, Mr. Roberts approached, a proud smile on his face. "Tyrell, you did a fantastic job today. You spoke from the heart, and it resonated with everyone. You're making a real impact." "Thanks, Mr. Roberts. I couldn't have done it without my friends," Tyrell replied, beaming. As they gathered their things and prepared to leave, Tyrell felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. He had faced his fears, embraced the unknown, and transformed a frightening experience into a catalyst for change. But as they headed out, a shadow of doubt crossed his mind. Would it be enough? Was their movement strong enough to truly make a difference in their community? As the thoughts swirled, he pushed them aside, focusing on the present moment. He was not alone in this journey. They were a team, and together, they would find a way to inspire others. The following weeks were filled with planning, brainstorming, and collaboration as Tyrell and his friends worked diligently to bring their ideas to life. They created posters to spread awareness about the safety initiative, organized bake sales to fund their activities, and even collaborated with local businesses to support their cause. But just as they were gaining momentum, an unforeseen challenge emerged. One afternoon, Tyrell received an alarming phone call from his mother. "Tyrell, we need to talk. There's been a report about the bus driver who left you at the wrong stop," she said, her voice filled with concern. "What happened?" Tyrell asked, his heart sinking. "It appears he has been accused of similar behavior with other students. The school district is investigating the situation, and they're concerned about the safety of all students," she explained. Tyrell felt a mix of emotions: anger, frustration, and a sense of urgency. This was not just about him anymore. It was about all the kids who might feel vulnerable. "What can we do?" he asked, determination rising within him. We need to ensure that this issue is addressed, Tyrell. You've already spoken up. Now it's time to take the next step, his mother replied. With a newfound sense of purpose, Tyrell gathered his friends for an emergency meeting. They convened at his house, sitting in a circle on the living room floor, the weight of the situation hanging in the air. We have to do something about this bus driver, Tyrell began, his voice steady. If he's done this to me, he might have done it to others too. We can't let this go unnoticed. Mia nodded, her expression serious. We should organize a petition to show the district how many students and parents support taking action against him. Jacob chimed in. And we can include our stories, not just about what happened with Tyrell, but any other incidents that might have occurred. It's important that everyone knows they're not alone. Tyrell felt a surge of determination wash over him. Let's also reach out to the local news. If we can raise awareness about this, it could help other kids who might be afraid to speak up. With a plan in place, they got to work, determined to ensure that their voices were heard. They created flyers for the petition, asking students and parents to share their stories and support the cause. The next day, they set up tables outside the school, inviting everyone to sign. Let's make sure everyone understands the importance of safety. Tyrell encouraged his friends as they engaged with students and parents passing by. As the days turned into weeks, the petition gained traction, collecting signatures from students, parents, and community members. Tyrell felt empowered as he watched their movement grow, realizing that they were not just advocating for change. They were building a community of support and understanding. On the day of the petition submission, Tyrell and his friends stood outside the district office, holding the stack of signatures proudly. We've done it, everyone. We've made our voices heard, Tyrell declared, feeling a wave of excitement wash over him. As they entered the building, they were met by a district representative who greeted them with a warm smile. I've heard about your initiative and the petition. It's impressive to see students advocating for safety in their schools. Thank you for your hard work, the representative said. Thank you for listening to us. We want to make sure that every student feels safe on the bus and at school, Tyrell replied, his heart racing with hope. The representative led them to a conference room where they presented their petition, sharing their experiences and the stories of other students who had faced similar challenges. As they spoke, Tyrell felt a sense of urgency and determination guiding him. They were not just advocating for their own safety, they were fighting for every child who had ever felt vulnerable or alone. After the presentation, the district promised to investigate the bus driver's actions and ensure that safety protocols were put in place. Tyrell and his friends felt a sense of relief wash over them, knowing that they had taken a stand for what was right. As they left the office, Tyrell couldn't help but feel a sense of pride in what they had accomplished. They had turned their fears into action, transforming a negative experience into a powerful movement for change. But he also knew that this was just the beginning. Their journey had highlighted the importance of community, bravery, and the unwavering strength that comes from standing together. As they looked ahead, Tyrell and his friends were determined to continue their fight for safety and support, knowing that they had the power to make a difference. A new beginning. The sun broke through the clouds on the morning of the district's decision regarding the bus driver, casting a hopeful glow over Tyrell's neighborhood. The events of the past few weeks had been a whirlwind. Petitions, meetings, and countless discussions about safety. As he prepared for school, Tyrell felt a mix of anticipation and nervousness. Today was crucial. The district officials were set to announce their decision during the morning assembly. At breakfast, his mother noticed the furrow in his brow. "You're quiet this morning. Are you feeling okay?" she asked, concern evident in her voice. "I'm just a little nervous about today," Tyrell admitted, pushing his cereal around in the bowl. "What if they don't take it seriously? What if everything we've done doesn't matter?" His mother smiled softly, her eyes filled with warmth. "Tyrell, remember that you've already made a difference. You stood up for yourself and others, and that takes courage. No matter the outcome today, You've shown that your voice matters." Tyrell nodded, drawing strength from her words. As he walked to school, he replayed the encouraging moments he'd experienced throughout this journey. The supportive smiles from his friends, the parents who had rallied behind their cause, and the overwhelming response to their petition. He knew that no matter what happened today, they had ignited a spark within their community. When he arrived at school, the atmosphere was electric. Students buzzed with excitement and anticipation, whispering about the upcoming announcement. As they gathered in the gym for the morning assembly, Tyrell felt his heart race. He took a deep breath, focusing on the importance of their mission. Mr. Roberts stepped up to the podium, his presence commanding attention. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I know many of you are eager to hear about the recent safety concerns regarding our bus routes. We have a few special guests from the district office who would like to address you." Tyrell exchanged nervous glances with his friends. The district officials took the stage, their expressions serious yet hopeful. One woman, Miss Thompson, introduced herself as the head of the safety committee. "Thank you for your commitment to student safety. Your voices have been heard, and we appreciate the efforts put forth by students like Tyrell and his friends," she began, glancing toward the group. Tyrell felt a swell of pride. "We have conducted a thorough investigation into the reports concerning the bus driver and have determined that immediate action is necessary to ensure the safety of our students," she continued, her voice steady. As she spoke, Tyrell held his breath, bracing himself for the decision that would shape the future. Effective immediately, the bus driver in question will be suspended pending further review of his actions. We are also implementing additional safety training for all bus drivers and staff to prevent incidents like this from occurring in the future," Miss Thompson announced, her voice echoing through the gym. A wave of applause erupted from the crowd, and Tyrell's heart soared. They had done it. Their collective efforts had led to real change. Additionally, Miss Thompson continued, "We want to involve students in the ongoing dialogue about safety. We will be forming a safety council that will include student representatives from each school to ensure that your voices continue to shape our policies moving forward." Tyrell's eyes widened in disbelief. This was beyond what he had hoped for. "Finally, I'd like to recognize Tyrell Collins and his friends for their courage and determination. Your bravery has sparked an important conversation in our community, and we are grateful for your leadership," she concluded. The applause grew louder, and Tyrell felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him. As he looked around at his friends and the other students, he realized the true impact of their journey. They had not only advocated for change, they had united their school and community in a shared purpose. After the assembly, students gathered around Tyrell, congratulating him and expressing their gratitude. "You really did it, Tyrell. You stood up for all of us," Mia exclaimed, beaming with pride. "We couldn't have done it without you," Jacob added, clapping him on the back. Tyrell felt a rush of warmth at their words. "We did this together. It was all of us working as a team," he replied, humbled by the support. In the days that followed, the newly formed Safety Council met regularly, and Tyrell eagerly joined the discussions. The council was diverse, with students from different backgrounds and experiences, each contributing unique perspectives on safety. They brainstormed ideas for workshops, safety fairs, and community outreach programs. Tyrell's heart swelled with pride as he watched their efforts gain momentum. They organized events where students could share their concerns and suggestions, fostering a sense of community and collaboration. They also worked with local law enforcement and safety experts to create informative sessions for students and parents about recognizing and responding to unsafe situations. As the school year continued, Tyrell found himself thriving in this new role. He had always been a shy kid, hesitant to speak up, but now he felt empowered. He learned to express himself confidently and advocate for those who felt voiceless. One afternoon, as he prepared for a presentation about safety at a local community center, he found himself reflecting on the journey that had led him here. The fear he had experienced after being left at the wrong bus stop had transformed into a mission to protect others. It was a reminder that even the scariest moments could lead to profound change. On the day of the presentation, Tyrell stood in front of a diverse group of community members, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. He shared his story, detailing how a single experience had catalyzed a movement for safety in their schools. The audience listened attentively, nodding in agreement as he spoke passionately about the importance of community support. After the presentation, several attendees approached him, sharing their own experiences and offering their assistance in promoting safety initiatives. "What you're doing is incredibly important," Tyrell, an older gentleman, remarked. "We need more young leaders like you in our community." Tyrell felt a wave of gratitude. "Thank you. It's really about all of us working together," he replied, his heart swelling with pride. As he continued to engage with the community, Tyrell realized that his journey was far from over. He wanted to ensure that the safety initiatives they had started would continue to flourish, inspiring future generations. He began to envision a future where every child felt safe and supported in their schools and neighborhoods. One evening, after another successful safety event, Tyrell sat on the porch with his mother, watching the sunset paint the sky in vibrant hues. "You've come so far, Tyrell. I'm so proud of the young man you're becoming," his mother said, her voice filled with admiration. "Thanks, Mom. I just want to keep making a difference," he replied, gazing at the horizon. "I know you will. Just remember that even small actions can create ripples of change," she reminded him gently. As the days turned into months, Tyrell remained committed to his cause, continuing to advocate for safety and support within his community. He started a blog to share stories of courage and resilience, hoping to inspire others to speak up and take action. Through his words, he connected with individuals from various backgrounds, fostering a network of support and understanding. He learned that everyone had a story, and every story mattered. Tyrell often returned to the park where he had once stood alone and scared after being left at the wrong bus stop. It was a place that had once felt so intimidating, but now it was filled with laughter and connection. He watched as children played, parents chatted, and the community thrived. One afternoon, as he sat on a bench watching a group of kids play, he noticed a familiar face. It was a little boy who looked lost and frightened, standing near the edge of the playground. Tyrell's heart sank as he recognized the look in the boy's eyes. He had once felt that way too. Without hesitation, Tyrell approached the boy. "Hey there, are you okay?" he asked gently, crouching down to the boy's level. The little boy looked up, his eyes wide. "I don't know where my mom is," he said, his voice trembling. Tyrell felt a rush of empathy and warmth. "I understand how that feels. Let's find her together, okay? What's your name?" "Isaiah," the boy replied, his fear slowly fading. "Nice to meet you, Isaiah. I'm Tyrell. Let's go over to the entrance and see if she's waiting for you there," Tyrell said, taking the boy's hand in his own. As they walked together, Tyrell felt a sense of purpose wash over him. He was no longer the frightened boy lost at a bus stop. He was now a source of support and guidance for others. When they reached the entrance, they found Isaiah's mother anxiously scanning the area. Upon seeing her son, she rushed over, relief flooding her face. "Oh, thank goodness. I was so worried." Tyrell smiled as he watched their reunion. "He was just waiting for you. I'm glad I could help," he said, feeling a warm glow of satisfaction. As he walked away, Tyrell reflected on how far he had come. The journey from fear to empowerment had shaped him in ways he could never have imagined. He had turned a traumatic experience into a catalyst for change, and now he was a beacon of hope for others. In the months that followed, Tyrell continued to grow, both personally and as a leader in his community. He formed partnerships with local organizations, participated in community events, and even began to mentor younger students. His story inspired others, and he discovered that his voice had the power to influence change on a larger scale. As the school year came to an end, Tyrell stood at the front of the assembly once more, this time not just as a student but as a leader. He looked out at his classmates, friends, and community members, his heart swelling with pride. "Thank you all for being a part of this journey," he began, his voice steady. "Together, we've shown that we can create change and make our voices heard. Let's continue to support each other, speak up for safety, and be the change we want to see in our world." The applause that followed echoed in his ears, a reminder of the strength that lay within a community united for a common purpose. As Tyrell walked off the stage, he knew that this was just the beginning of his journey. He had learned that courage comes in many forms, and that even in the face of fear, one voice could inspire a movement. With every step he took, he was determined to continue advocating for safety, justice, and hope for all children, knowing that together they could build a brighter future.